All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Desmond Wiggin. I'm the CEO and co-founder of BatteryXchange, and we've come up with a solution that's going to, in essence, change the lifestyle and behavior of every one of you guys in this room. But before I get started on the product, I'd like to start off with a little story. So a few years ago, I'm in mainland China doing an MBA program. I go out one evening with my now co-founder and a few friends. We're there for a few hours. His cell phone goes completely dead, and then mine is at 5%. And our friends want to go to some different locations, but we can't because our cell phone is our lifeline. It's what keeps us connected to people and things that are most important to us. So without it, what do? Life is completely over. And so we challenged this and said, why isn't there a more convenient way for us to charge our cell phone while we're moving around? So we knew that we weren't alone, so we started to kind of look at the market opportunity and found out that in America, there's over 300 million cell phone users. 80% of these individuals don't carry a spare charger with them, but they're using their cell phone around 1,600 times in a typical day. So heavy usage, not bringing a convenient solution with them. There's some type of ill balance, right? And so we started to look into this concept just a little bit more, and said, hey, why not, build a solution that would, in essence, enhance this? So the current solutions. Currently, you can, in essence, bring a standard charger, but you have to be hovered over an outlet, or if you trust the environment that you're in, you're looking over your shoulder every 2 minutes to make sure your cell phone is still there. A lot of us go outside of our homes, and we, in essence, try to haggle a friend or a bartender or a stranger in order to use their charger. Or, in essence, another solution is paying a hefty, $30-40 for an Amazon charger that you're just gonna forget about anyways, right? So in essence, we saw all these inconveniences and said, hey, what can we do to enhance this overall experience? And that's how we came up with the concept of BatteryXchange, a rental platform that provides on-demand portable batteries for cell phone users. So the way it works is we place our kiosk machines and we partner with businesses such as convention centers, universities, stadiums, arenas, bars, and restaurants. And the end user downloads our application, and then they have access to find one of our kiosk machines in a particular area. Once they find it, similar to like the Bird scooter model, once they find one that's really convenient for them, they scan the QR code, create an account, then they get access to one of these portable batteries. These portable batteries are compatible with each and every cell phone on the market right now. They can keep it, plug up their phone. Now they have autonomy to keep it as long as they want. They can leave that location, go to another location, and when they're finished charging their cell phone, they literally just use the application again, find a kiosk machine, and just return it to them. Simple as that. So it was important for us to get some market validation and proof of concept. So over the last few months, we put together an MVP, put it out in the market, and just had individuals paying for our service. So we pretty much partnered with over 25 single-day and multi-day events throughout North Carolina, DC, Atlanta. We've had over 2,500 users to pay for our actual service. And we actually just landed exclusivity with our manufacturing partner in Shenzhen, China. Not sure if you guys are familiar, but that's the manufacturing capital of the world. And we're, in essence, the only company in all of the United States that can work with this particular company. So this is our current revenue model. So in essence, the end user pretty much pays to charge their cell phone. And in essence, we're looking at future revenue streams as far as actually getting businesses to pay a monthly fee for maintenance, and then also the supply of batteries, end user subscriptions, and then advertising and branding opportunities on our portable batteries and then on our kiosk machines as well. I just kind of always like to do this. So this is what we're looking at as far as projections for like the next year. So we're looking at having at least 4 convention centers, 200 retail locations, having 50,000 users, and in essence, that would give around $500K in revenue for the next year. And some of those regional convention centers have already approached us and are looking for us to actually be in their locations. So we do have some competitors in the space. Our competitive advantage is we have a true B2B value proposition. There's a rev share model to where we can allocate 20% of our revenues for the businesses we partner with. The competitors aren't doing that. We have a lower upfront cost. Some of our competitors, in essence, have a $20, $30 upfront cost for end users that sometimes deters individuals from using their service. We focus on economic development, so we're actually looking at bringing some of our manufacturing pieces onshore domestically, and then we are also playing in the gig economy. So that's a $400 billion industry by 2023. And in essence, we'll allow individuals to get paid to redistribute batteries. This is our team, comprised of 3 MBAs, over 20 plus years in the software space, 15 plus years in the hardware space. We have operations, marketing, and then this slide I like to end with this because we actually launched a crowdfunding campaign about a month ago. We raised $70,000 already, and we're looking to close our $86,000 minimum before Christmas. So literally, that's all I want for Christmas. And in essence, one of the things that we saw is that we had this organic community that we were building, and so we wanted to give them an opportunity to also become investors in our company. So that's what this is, and we're going to use this money to finish the software development, get enough hardware to supply our first few convention centers, and in essence prove this on a larger, repeatable business in the B2B space, and then go to our seed round and say, hey, this is what we need in order to scale nationally. So this is BatteryXchange. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Might as well keep the order.
All right.
Good luck.
All right. Go for it. All right, Desmond, I love it. Your pitch is fantastic. You crank through everything. It's a hard time span to get that all in 5 minutes. I know if you had another 5 minutes, you could go into anything else that I want to hear about. But you do a great job of using the personal story to set up the problem. I'd love to hear a little bit more on the customers. I feel like there's probably a segment, an age segment even, that you're going for specifically, and I know what that is. So, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that because I don't think that everyone, I don't think everyone has this problem on a daily basis. We probably all have it very infrequently, and then there's some group that has it a lot. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about specific customers. You can't do that in this amount of time. But as we talk about it, I'd love to hear about that. Traction, I'd like to hear a little bit more on that too. You got the 25 events, the 2,500 customers. How did it go? What feedback did you get? Was it about the app? Was it about the cost? What were you hearing from your customers? Again, can't get a lot of it into this, but I would like to hear in a pitch, how did that go? And then your revenue model also was good. Again, would love to have you break that down a little bit. Even what is the cost, for somebody? Like if I'm a user, what do I expect for that cost to be? The differentiators, there was a lot of high level. So you gave 4 different things, very high level. I'd love to hear even just 1 or 2 and something more specific on, revenue share. What's the revenue share? How the upfront costs are lower. How much lower? How is it a little bit? Just more specifics on how it's different from your competitors. But overall, I think it's a fantastic pitch and everything you got in there in 5 minutes. And congrats on just about getting there. You're gonna get it. Yeah. Are you gonna be at Seed the South?
I'll be in the startup alley.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great.
I agree. That is a great pitch. I love the personality and making things personal. I think is important to try and connect with the investors. So I'll tell you a little story. I grew up in a little tiny town in Western New York, and there was one billionaire that I know of, and you know what he did? He went around to every bar in Western New York and collected quarters out of the pinball machines. That's a fantastic business model. What I want to know a little bit more about is in detail, and I think this is true of all the pitches this morning, is show me a chart, show me a graph, show me customer acquisition, show me month over month, show me the trend in revenue, show me where it can go. I just want to see as an investor a little bit more about where revenue's headed, and I always am going to have a little bit of bias around understanding customer acquisition. This to me feels more B2B than B2C to me. I think there's a lot of money to be made, especially if you're giving it to consumers and charging businesses. What kinds of businesses would provide this as a convenience to customers who are on-prem is kind of interesting thing to think about in terms of target analytics and customer acquisition. But I like the B2B side of this a lot better than the consumer side. But I think this has a tremendous amount of potential in the right locations. I'd also say, if I were thinking about investing, I would ask you immediately about this notion of kiosk, especially in retail. If you get a footprint in retail, meaning you know how hard it is to get space in retail, I'm going to ask you what you're going to put in the kiosk next. And I'm not trying to disrupt your business model or change your business, but well, if this lasts forever, I'd be surprised because of tech. So I think you have also a business that has the chance to generate a footprint by which this notion of some sort of a shared economy at retail could be interesting. I'd be just thinking about whether or not there's other things you could do here too. But I like it a lot. I thought it was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
and I.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to, right? So tons of questions. Target audience, it's been young professional millennials, individuals that pay for convenience. So they're the individuals paying for Grubhub and Uber Eats and Ubering and scootering. Typically they have like sales, marketing jobs. A lot of people downtown individually. They go to a lot of events, so that's another thing that we've seen. So they're spending around anywhere from 5+ hours at a particular event. One thing that we did down in Atlanta, there was about 2,500 young professionals again, and literally at 12 o'clock, everybody was rushing our table. So those are the environments that we kind of want to be in. But we also see older generations using it. The individual that goes to the convention center that has to go from their hotel, the convention center to the airport. Like that's a trend that we see. So in essence, bringing our solution at the convention centers to where that they can charge and then in essence get the rest of their day, complete and fully charged. So that's just another target audience that we've seen. And so we're trying to find what environments kind of make sense for those individuals. As far as the cost structure, so for the end user, it's going to be $1 to access the battery, and then each minute after that, it's 10 cents, right? And so based off of our piloting these 25 events, our average user has been about 30 minutes, and they get from about 10% to about 75% during that time, and that's around $4. And so we think that $4 is probably our threshold. We started at $1, and we've just been working our way up. And I think I'm comfortable even projection-wise with being around $3.50 for like our average user. And so like all of our metrics are based off of that. You had brought up a good point. Oh, and then even like break-even analysis. So we're pretty much saying that on a conservative level with our smaller machines, if we were to see just at a restaurant 9 users a day, that's about 270 users in a month, we'd probably break even around like 37 days. And then for our larger machines at the convention center space, we're looking at around a little over 1,000 users for the month, and we break even on those devices around 2.5 months. So that's kind of when we start to become profitable. And then you had some questions. You want to remind me of those?
They probably weren't that interesting if you didn't remember. I wouldn't worry about it.
No, they were. I was trying to like answer hers like the same time.
No, it's okay. So I find it, let me just say this as a follow-up. I think Angel had better points of view on this than I did. I'm curious about
Kiosk.
the customers that you addressed in your pilot, and I'd like to maybe hear, to your point, a little bit more detail about that. I'm not thinking about this the way that I think you pitched it, which is, if I'm a young professional and I've got a job and I'm at a convention, I got a briefcase or I got a bag and I got a battery with me because like I got work to do. I'm thinking more like, looking at what my daughter wore out to the club the other night, and I can promise you there's no room for a spare battery, right? So like to me, I think that feels like the market to me, and so I would like to just ask you that question. What is the target market here in terms of establishment?
So we went to the convention center space because they see about 20,000 people that in essence are going to be there for several hours, but we're going to expand around those areas, and so the bars and the restaurants. So that's really going to be more of our market market, and that's where we would have our smaller machines.
A little bit better
Yeah.
personally, but
Yeah.
I understand the use case in both cases. I mean, people forget batteries too and don't always want to have them with them, but the professional side to me seems a little bit harder to crack, especially given the cost of batteries is,
Yeah.
it's getting commoditized. But
Well, and then in essence, so we understand that like the weekends, we're going to see a lot of traffic at those areas. So in essence, just having the convention center piece or other event venues that have a little bit more traffic Monday through Friday, that's in essence like just, it's really twofold to be honest. And then you had another question about the kiosk machines.
Yeah.
So in essence, this battery, we're going into like wireless charging. So in essence, over the next year or so, we're actually going to take some of our cables out and have wireless portable batteries as well. And we're actually looking at a solution to potentially have other, I guess, items in our kiosk machines as well. But that's kind of later down the road. But we have been talking through to our manufacturing partner about that as well. So
the software component's really key to me. I like what you did there because I have to imagine that batteries are expensive. They have to be returned to the kiosk.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's probably some sort of a billing mechanism, I
Yeah.
presume, if something disappears.
Yeah,
as part of the software, you've got a credit card on file or
Exactly.
something like that.
So-
because I can imagine a lot of capital risk or exposure there if you don't have the model.
yeah, so you pretty much have a day to return. If you don't return it in a day, you pretty much get charged $25, and literally we're sending you notifications throughout that time in essence to bring it back as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Good.